A lot of you enjoyed the last 10 tips to climb video I made, so I decided to come up with another 10 tips that I use almost every game as an Immortal 3 player. So they're obviously quite effective, and yeah, I feel like it'll help a lot of people climb out of lower ranks who are stuck in it. So yeah, let's jump into it. Alright, so the first thing I'm going to talk about is the 30-30-40 rule. And this is, you will win 30% of your games for free, guaranteed. You're pretty much AFK, you'll win. You'll lose 30% of your games no matter what you do. You'll just lose 30%. Happens, you can't win them all. And 40% are completely up to you. So you wanna put all your focus into those 40% of games, obviously. As this isn't an excuse, you won't ever really know which kind of game you're in. You know what I mean? Like, so I wouldn't write off these games, but just it'll help your mentality a bit if you can just realize that even the best players in the world smurfing will have like a max 70% win rate. So don't be too angry if you are losing these games. Like, you just want to get as much learning as you can out of these games, like the ones that you can't really win. But don't write them off, because you won't know if they were unwinnable until the game ends, really. Alright, so the next thing I want to talk about is how important confidence is. A bad play executed with really high confidence can just work. A lot of times the enemy won't predict it or whatever, but a lot of the times if you just feel it and you just go for a play and you actually are feeling confident about it, not fake confidence, like you actually trust yourself, you feel like you'll hit shots, they'll work a lot of the time. And if you don't feel like you're the best player in the lobby, then you're obviously gotta be playing safe and passive and stuff. So you're just gonna, like, I don't mean disrespect the enemy and act like they're bots, but if you don't feel like you're the best player in the lobby, then you're not gonna be, if you know what I mean. It's all about that confidence. You gotta just get your confidence up, however you need to do that, like by playing more deathmatch so you feel comfortable taking duels, by playing more games so you feel more comfortable in multiple situations, just anything to get your confidence up, which those things are good. But as long as you have that, you can actually do anything in this game. Because if you have more confidence than your enemy, sure you're gonna miss sometimes, but a lot more times you'll be feeling it. You know what I mean? You'll be in the zone. So that's number 2. Alright, so the next thing I'm gonna talk about is playing to win instead of playing not to lose. And what I mean by that is, you see this a lot where, like, you'll see it on like Sentinel players quite a lot, where they'll be just sitting back, playing really safe, not trying to take any fights, and just hoping that their team start winning the rounds. And you'll hear them coming as well. They're like, guys, don't peek, don't do this, guys, come on, we have to play safe. But you're not really gonna win the game like this. And if you do win this one game, you won't improve at the game, so it's not even worth it in the long run. So even if you do win that one game, you get your 20 rank or whatever you get, you're not getting better at the game. So when you get put into any situations where you need to be better, you're just not gonna have those skills. So, like, obviously I don't mean just wide swing on Killjoy all the time, but you have to play to win, you know? You have to, like, not be afraid. It's all about that. You know, it's all about having the game flow in your hands, making those plays that you need to make when you need to make them, and not being afraid of it. You know, like, let's say you're playing Sova and you're playing on defense, and you've noticed that the enemy Reyna pushes A main on Ascent. Every single round he's done it. He's pushed A main solo, so you tell your Jet, yo Jet, I'm gonna drone for you, and we're gonna take this A main, and we're gonna try and kill this Reyna. You know, even just because you're on defense does not mean you can't take action like this, you know? You can't, if you give the enemy an inch, they'll take a mile, you know? So it's all about not being afraid of making those plays and playing to win and keeping that game flow in your hands and not the enemies. Alright, so the next thing I want to talk about, and this for me it changed everything, because I used to be so toxic. I get so mad at anyone who would do anything. Everything would just piss me off really badly. But what I started doing was, the second I noticed one of my teammates started being toxic in any way, this could be like, you failed the clutch and he just goes, nice. You know, it's some negative comment that just tilts you, and you're like, he's gonna be a bit of a just non-help for the rest of the game. Just mute him straight away. First sign of toxicity, just mute. They will never give you any good comms. Ever. that you can get all of their information off of the map. You don't need them. And if you're playing multiple games in a row, you don't want this one guy to just ruin your entire session of like 3 or 4 games. So I would recommend just insta-muting anyone the second they're toxic. No matter how toxic it is, no matter if he starts like flaming hardcore, if it's little negative comments, even if they're just being really annoying and tilting you, just mute them. You won't get the comms you're looking for keeping them. It's not worth the hassle. Next thing I want to talk about is don't queue ranked without warming up. It is so troll to queue without warming up. You wouldn't see any professional sports player at all hop into their games and just be completely cold. It's not a thing. No one should do it. Your aim will just be 10 times worse. Not because you're bad, but just because you haven't warmed up. You know, like stretch your hand, just get the blood flowing, just hop in the range for a couple minutes. Do whatever warm-up method you like, just do something, because if you don't, you know, you can play some deathmatch. You can do anything. Like for me, I like to hop in the range, shoot some practice bots, do some tracking on those bots, then practice my recoil, and do some easy medium bots. And that's what I like to do to warm up, and then maybe a deathmatch in there. Sheriff only usually. But you can do whatever you want. It doesn't actually matter, as long as you're like doing some sort of warm-up, because so many people just hop into their games and they just jump in straight away. Just jump straight headfirst in, and it's not worth it because you will suffer so badly. Like, I even for me, I can go from an Immortal 3 player to a Silver 3 player without warming up. It's crazy how much better your results you'll get if you just start warming up a lot more. The next thing I'm going to talk about is good comms, and you don't need a lot for good comms, but they go a long way if you can get them. You know, you don't have to be talking the ears off people. You don't have to sit here chatting bollocks to them. But you wanna have good map callouts, you know? You don't want to be the guy saying, he's over there. You know, you want to just get the comms. He's bricks, 1 bricks, jet bricks, something like that, you know? Or like breezed, 1 left side pyramid, you know, something, anything. He's done the back right of sight on breeze, you know what I mean? Stuff like that. You just need to know the callouts, and you learn these just by playing the game, because you'll hear a lot of people say them. Or like, a lot of a big one that everyone uses is just, he's cubby. And like, let's say bind, there's like 3 cubbies that people call a cubby. So you want to be a bit more specific, but you don't have to be sitting here talking to people for half an hour, you know? As long as you can relay information to your team, that's all you need. And you want to keep the vibes good, but don't get your team so excited that they start kind of like taking the piss. Because that can happen a lot, where you'll get your team really excited and then everyone like starts just having a laugh. But you want to just have those good comms, you know, like Sova, drone here for me. That's it. Sky, can you flash this? Breach, can you stun hookah? Anything, just as long as you get what you want across, that's all you need. Whether that's asking for help or if it's calling out where an enemy is or anything like that. Alright, so the next thing I'm going to talk about is how important map control is. So map control it can be foreign to a lot of lower ranked players, but map control is like taking space mid, or it's basically just taking space. So like on attack, a lot of the times you want to take mid map control so that you can cut off the enemy rotations so they can't just instant rotate, and you can decide which bomb site you want to hit a lot easier. Or on defense, this is a big one that people don't do. I feel like people kind of understand map control on attack. It's just taking areas off the enemies because you can overwhelm them with smokes and with utility. But on defense, if the enemy are not contesting the map control, like let's say you're playing B main on Ascent and nobody is B main on the enemy team, like you're on defense, there's no reason not to just push up out B main. Like, you can take so much free map space, and they can't come back to B because you're pushed up. And if they do, you get a free kill. Or maybe multi-kills. So, or you can shoot them in the back if they're taking mid control. So just, if the enemy aren't taking the space off you, then take it off them on defense. That's the best thing I can say. Like, there's no point in sitting just backside on B or something on Ascent, just as an example. There's no point in just sitting back there and waiting when the enemies aren't even contesting B main. And if they start contesting it, then it's okay, you can just back off. You don't have to start pushing when they're contesting it. But if they're not contesting it, there's no reason not to take it and get a more aggressive angle on them. The next thing I'm going to talk about is try to stop blaming other people for everything, like your deaths, your losses. It's not their fault. Yeah, sometimes it can be, but the only consistent factor in your game is you or your duo queue, whoever it is. But it's at the main part, it's always you. You're in every single one of your games. So if you're stuck in gold, you're stuck in platinum, you're stuck in any rank, it's not because your teammates are bad, it's because you're obviously doing some stuff wrong. And you want to just try and focus on what you're doing wrong and try to improve it, whether that's bad mechanics, bad game sense, bad positioning, not like a lack of understanding of some aspect of the game. You're obviously, just think about it like this: if Tens was in your shoes right now, would Tens be able to win this game? If yes, then you can always improve and realize that it's not just your teammates' fault or the enemy's fault for playing cringe or something. Just think about it like that. If a pro player was in my shoes right now, could they win the game? If yes, then you can always improve and learn something from that game. Alright, so the next thing I'm going to talk about is playing aggressive and how much easier it is to get better from playing aggressively. And I don't mean just feeding, right? When I say aggressive, I don't mean just wide swinging everything. What I mean is pushing the limits, you know, limit testing. Not being afraid of dying, but also not inting. You know what I mean? It's like this nice middle ground. If you are an aggressive player, it's a lot easier to bring back and become less aggressive than it is for a passive player to learn how to be aggressive. If you know what I mean. So, and the more aggressive you play, the more duels you get and the more chances you'll have to improve. And I don't mean just wide swing on Brimstone before you drop your smokes. It's like, it's all about that middle ground. It's about pushing the limits and seeing how far you can go. How much you can take off of people. If you know what I mean. So I wouldn't be afraid of playing aggressive like that. You don't have to just sit back and play lineups 24 rounds in a row, you know? Yes, it might help you win this one game, but it won't help you get to the next rank. Or it might help you get up one rank, but it won't help you get up two, if you know what I mean. Because eventually you're going to need those other skills that you're not learning by not playing aggressively. But yeah, that's what I mean. Alright, so the last thing I have is stop full saving. If you're playing completely nothing, just classic on your saves, you're actually just trolling. At the bare minimum, you should buy like a shorty and sit in a corner, but you should usually buy like a sheriff or Spectre if you can afford one. Spectre's really strong. And don't be afraid to go light armor on the next round, like when you're saving for that rifle and a bit less utility. Because if you are just playing classic versus Vandal, you're dying 95% of the time. But if you have a sheriff, sometimes you get a headshot. If you have a shorty, sometimes you get a nice cheese kill. If you have a frenzy, you can cheese people as well. There's so many broken guns in the game that are just really cheap. So you don't need to spend the full money. Like you can spend a bit of money in order to try and win these eco rounds more. Like I've seen so many people just play nothing, just classic, and just throw the round in the bin and not try to win it at all. And you're just wasting rounds. So many thrifties happen. The frenzy is broken. The shorty is broken. The sheriff is actually probably like the 4th best gun in the game. Even if you're not good with the sheriff, get good with the sheriff. The sheriff is broken as fuck. It's only 800 credits and you can get a free kill with it. Instant, just one shot. So that's the main thing I have. But yeah, that's gonna be the whole video. Thanks for watching. Try to apply majority of these tips. Leave a like if you learned anything new. And yeah, hopefully you can all climb some ranked games after this. So yeah.